Ms. Hermes, I remember well my own transition, such as it was when I was in the Marine Corps Reserves. I finished the full-time part of my obligation 5 weeks into the Yale semester. Other law schools that I'd been admitted to said there's no way you can start law school 5 weeks late, but I showed up at Yale, and frankly, it all sounded like Greek to me. In fact, it was Latin, stare decisis, collateral estoppel, but Yale, even before its present program, embraced veterans and provided the help that was needed for that transition. And since then, universities and colleges and schools have followed the model of really welcoming veterans as Yale does. So I want to commend all the schools that have the kinds of programs that you've described that Yale has pioneered. But I'm frustrated that the VA has failed to do its part. There have been widespread and egregious delays in the GI Bill payments that are causing real harm to our veterans and survivors and their families. They're still left to cover rent and tuition. And schools may be flexible about tuition, but landlords may not get it because they've got bills to pay too. And the VA's failure to pay these veterans the Article 35 benefits on time has real-life consequences. I'd like to enter an article from Stars and Stripes into the record, Mr. Chairman.
Without objection.
And it says, quote, more than 75,000 students affected by VA payment delays for education benefits. I also have an article from Military Times, if there's no objection, Mr. Chairman.
No objection.
Quote, VA tech glitch halts GI Bill payments to thousands, advocates say. And just so there's no doubt, this article quotes one of the veterans' advocates, Ashline Haycock Lohman, Director of Government and Legislative Affairs for the Tragedy Assistance Program for Survivors, as saying, quote, the shutdown is not the cause of this, and it needs to be very clear that the reason that this happened is because VA's infrastructure failed, and they chose not to tell us until after the shutdown started. VA could have told us in August. These delays began in August, well before the shutdown. They are not due to the shutdown, but they've been aggravated by the furloughs and firings and cuts that the Secretary has unnecessarily imposed before and after the shutdown. For example, Secretary Collins' choice to furlough IT technicians and shut down the GI Bill hotline. I wrote a letter to the VA, October 9th, demanding answers, and so far, VA has provided none, has not even responded to my letter. Answers about what can be done as well as what the causes are. Perhaps you can speak to how student veterans are affected when VA fails to deliver GI Bill payments promptly.
Thank you, Senator. We are facing the same challenges described in the media for student veterans across the country. We are able to provide some safety net type funding depending on the situation, but many of these benefits, particularly the Chapter 35 that you mentioned, are paid directly to families where we have less flexibility. We also, though we acknowledge that the delay happened before the government shutdown, we have been facing significant customer service delays and interruptions due to the layoffs that also have occurred during the past year. That administrative piece has definitely been felt by our students when they're looking to solve a problem or correct a situation.
Thank you. Mr. Hutchings, Combined Arms connects hundreds of thousands of veterans to high-quality resources, including food banks, housing, and emergency financial assistance. Your organization has reported, I believe, an increased reliance by veterans' families on food banks and financial and housing assistance. The Trump administration, as you well know, has refused to distribute SNAP benefits It's a disaster for many of those recipients, if not all of them, but particularly for 1.2 million veterans who rely on SNAP. There are certain populations of veterans who are most at risk for homelessness and hunger, and how do you target them for services?
Thank you for your question, Senator. It is a very serious concern, and thank you for bringing attention to it. What we have seen, data drives everything that we do at Combined Arms. And so we look at the data on a daily basis, and we have right now over 70 different data visualization dashboards on the pulse, the health, the demand of veterans and military families across the nation based on real-time transactions that occur in the system. And so here recently, we have seen a surge in food insecurity and housing assistance requests. For food insecurity, within the past 30 days, about a 46% month-over-month increase in food security assistance, and then around 36% in housing support, financial assistance, rent, mortgage, utility payments. And I think that's the beauty of this collective network in organizations like Combined Arms, that if there are gaps and if there are pauses in the government, organizations can stand ready to help fill these gaps from a short-term capacity, not long-term, but short-term capacity. And I think with continued opportunity for integration with federal agencies, we can be more prepared in the future, more resilient, and ensure that veterans and military families get the support that they need. Thank you.
Thank you. You know, I don't know quite how to say it, but for me, any veteran household going hungry is an abomination. Any veteran going homeless is absolutely abhorrent. And I want to thank all of you because I know you're seeking and in many instances succeeding in providing for veterans in the face of these gaps in federal support. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Senator Sheehy. Hello, everyone. Thanks for being here today. As a combat veteran myself, married to a combat vet who got out and had to go through the transition experience.